What is up, Guff Gang? How are you? My name is Zach. I am a grown up, and you are a grown up. Thank you so much for joining us today if you are new or returning. Before we get into it, be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this content and want to see more videos on fantasy football content, Tuesday through Friday each week. Without any more hesitation, though, and without any more hold up, let's go ahead and get into our topic of our 2021 fantasy season tight end rankings. So at number one of our list for tight ends in 2021, we have Travis Kelce. Now, really, has anyone shocked about this pick? Kelce's been the model of consistency for you with an insanely high floor and ceiling. He had 105 receptions for over 1,400 yards and 11 touchdowns this past 2020 season. As a tight end, he ended up being the number 2 in most receiving yards among all wide receivers too. The Mahomes and Andy Reid show doesn't look like it's going anywhere either, so you can really trust Kelce to produce well next season regardless. In Dynasty Leagues, I would actually be looking to see what upside I could trade him for though, just because he is an insanely elite tight end, but might as well capitalize big on him while you can. And now instead of a few years down the road where he is nowhere close to the level he's at now. All right, but our number 2 tight end is Darren Waller. Waller finished the season with 107 receptions and close to about 1,200 yards and 9 touchdowns. Waller had a target rate of 28%, which was number 1 in the league. And combine that with the 24 red zone targets he had, which was also number 1 in the league, and he is just a deadly threat. Waller is the Raiders' go-to in the receiving game, and although the Raiders still have Henry Ruggs that will develop more, I still think next year will still be the Waller show. He averaged 17.3 fantasy points per game, so you cannot go wrong with Waller on your fantasy teams. Okay, moving on to our number 3 tight end, and it is George Kittle. So if you take away Kittle's missed time this season and projected him out for all 16 games instead of just the 8 he was able to play in, he would have finished the season with 96 receptions for 1,200 receiving yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. Touchdowns maybe a little bit more. Regardless of who the QB is, though, Kittle always performs. So with all these rumors about them not returning Jimmy G or maybe Matt Ryan going over to the Niners, it really shouldn't matter. Kittle will do well being in this offensive scheme. And with his injury this past year, other teams drafting might forget that he is elite. And so he might actually be able to fall to you a little bit lower. All right, number 4 on our list is Mark Andrews. And now I have not lost the faith in Mark Andrews. He was targeted the most among Ravens receivers this year, yet he still only produced a little over 104 fantasy points for you. He did start heating up over the last half of the season though, scoring over 10 fantasy points in 4 of his games from weeks 11 to 16, and 2 of those weeks he didn't even play. So I do think the Ravens will have to build in more pass plays in their passing attack into the playbook for next year, as the narrative for this season for them was that other teams knew what they were going to do and they were pretty predictable. So if next year they do bring more pass plays into the mix and that passing attack, try and develop it, that only helps Mark Andrews and his athleticism and skill set. All right, moving on to our number 5 on our list, and that is TJ Hockenson. Hockenson finished the season as the tight end 4, and for a very good reason too. He was everything you wanted consistency-wise from a tight end. He finished the season with 723 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns and stayed healthy for you all season long. He finished the season number 3 among tight ends in terms of yards and number 4 in targets. And he did have 11 drops, so hopefully he can shore that up in the offseason, and that would only help him. And if Matt Stafford does stay in Detroit, then he is expected for another good season next year, I would say. Number 6, moving on, we have Mike Gesicki. Now, Gesicki is gifted, to say the least. He's a freak athlete, and although his stats aren't incredible this season, we can say that Tua as the QB helped him out tremendously. Tua had eyes for him, which helped him a lot. This season, it will help him a lot next season with Tua getting a full 16 games in. So even with an inconsistent season, Gesicki ended as a tight end 7. So saying he will be the next 6 next year is possibly playing it a little safe. Number 7 on our list, though, we have Dallas Goedert. Now, all sources are saying that Ertz will just be gone next season and will not be there, leaving all these juicy touches and targets to Goedert. Goedert is a great tight end, and I think the Eagles for sure know that. Otherwise, they really wouldn't be so eager to get rid of Zach Ertz and get him out the door. When Goedert was healthy, he functioned as a very serviceable tight end for you this past 2020 season. A lot is up in the air for the Eagles for the next season, so who knows what is going to happen, but if all things fall into place well, Goedert can be a tight end 1 for you. All right, moving on to number 8, we have Hunter Henry. Now, Henry finished as the tight end 11 and was healthy all season long. With as big a breakout as Herbert had, you really did kind of expect a little bit better of an outing from Hunter Henry. But we can look to next year where they will have a new head coach, and Herbert will be in his second year in the NFL and in this system. So both of these should translate to more opportunity and production from a very talented Hunter Henry, which would put him at our number 8 spot. Number 9 on our list, we have Noah Fant. Fant is another one of those tight ends, and I feel like I'm kind of saying this about all of the tight ends on this list, but another freak athlete. He only finished as the tight end 13, which for tight ends isn't really that great. He had in half PPR formats only 4 games this season over 10 fantasy points. 2 of those games came the first 2 weeks of the season 2, where we thought he was going to just be explosive and be this awesome breakout. And then things kind of went downhill and dwindled a little bit. It did seem he battled injury a lot this past year, but still was able to play majority of the season. But the hope is that in the offseason, him and Locke will form more chemistry, and even having Cortland Sutton back next year could open up some things for Fant and take some pressure off of him. So I think that is why Fant could be trusted. Number 10 on our list, we have Blake Jarwin. Now, if Blake Jarwin comes back 100% healthy from this ACL tear this season, honestly, having him at number 10 might be a little too low. In 3 games when Dalton Schultz played with Dak healthy this season, Schultz averaged 12 fantasy points per game. Dak loves his tight ends, and Jarwin is really good. So, plus we have he'll be another sleeper this season where you don't really have to spend that high on him. And he really does have the potential to make it in the top 5 tight ends with as much as Dak favors the tight end. All right, now our number 11 tight end is Evan Engram. Now, Evan Engram, there's not much to discuss here. He is very athletic, but underutilized and also kind of gets in his own way. He did have 109 targets this season, for which a tight end, that's pretty good. Yet he only finished as a tight end 15. Honestly, is hopefully that a year in this new system, he will have more opportunity next season, being a year into it, but the biggest hope is that he actually kind of goes somewhere else. Number 12 on our list, and our last one, we have Logan Thomas. Now, Thomas was a nice little piece midway through the season. He did have some ebbs and flows early on in the season, but he was able to finish as the tight end 6, and he eclipsed 110 targets over this season. Thomas does have the potential to finish higher than this spot as well, but this is a small sample size, and we really don't know what's going to happen with Alex Smith at QB for next season, so that's why we have him so low. Before we finish out the episode, though, let's give a couple of some of our tight ends that are sleepers, I guess, that could make it into this list of the top 12. We have Rob Gronkowski, Robert Tonyan, Jonnu Smith, and Zach Ertz, depending on where he goes. But all of these tight ends have the upside for top tight end ability. All right, well, that will do it for our episode today. Thanks so much for watching. Like I said before, though, if you're new and haven't subscribed already, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more content like this. Hit the notification bell as well to get notifications of when we upload. We upload from Tuesdays to Thursdays throughout the off season, and during this time, usually a lot of fantasy analysts don't put out as much content. So we're giving you all of this content as a way to stay ahead of your leagues. But go grow up and get guffed.
Thank you.